welcome to a brand new episode of Bearish or Bullish. I'm Julie Alexandria here with C.R.E.A.M. And this week we have selected some highlights from the very latest edition of Under the Hood. That's a list that you can only find on allstarcharts.com. And these are basically stocks that have piqued the interest of investors. So we've got to start with the feeding frenzy that is all over Twitter, hashtag AMC. Oh my gosh, it's incredible, JC, what I have seen. Just the breadth in general. Let's get into it. AMC, bearish, bullish, and for how long?
For me, that's not my game. I think it's important for all investors and traders to understand their game. For me, these things are way too volatile, so it's very hard for me to manage risk. It doesn't mean that you can't, and I have some friends that are crushing it, particularly some of my friends that are prop traders and work at prop trading desks, and they get a ton of leverage, and when they're right, they get to really press. Man, they're killing it. I mean, they're having literally career quarters, career days, career months. I'm hearing it all day. That's just not my game. I can get the juice that's giving you in other areas. But I mean, listen, I think it's great because you were just telling me how your brother-in-law or something is involved, and it's all over the news and everything. And I think that brings eyeballs to the market. I'm all for it.
I mean, everybody's involved. It's crazy. I have a friend who has 14,000 shares. Is this something, because this is what I see on social media, and I know you're not a meme stocks guy, but this is something that I've been seeing. People are using this as their cush fund. They're hoping that this is going to be their retirement plan. Is it smart to put that much into something that is technically, like you said, a meme stock?
I mean, listen, I'm no one to tell people what to do with their money. People love spending other people's money and oh, you should do this. You can do whatever the hell you want. It's not my problem. It's your problem. For me, should you put your entire retirement account and hope that that's your nest egg? I wouldn't do that, but you're welcome to, feel free. I wouldn't encourage that. I wouldn't tell my friends to do that. I wouldn't do that myself. But I mean, go for it. Have a ball. Blow up faster. The sooner you blow up, the better, because then you could really... Now, because that's a barrier of entry. That is a rite of passage. When you blow up, that's when you start to learn. That's when the investing journey begins. When you finally figure it out. Oh shit, it's all about risk management. Oh, all right, got it. Now that's when the journey begins. So the sooner that happens, and if AMC is the catalyst to get you to blow up quickly, great.
Okay, well, by that rationale, wouldn't you say what AMC, what GameStop, what all of these meme stocks have done for the casual retail investor? I mean, it's become mainstream now. Something that was handled by investment firms and brokers now has been put in the hands of the people. Wouldn't you say, sort of as an overwhelming theme, that this is a good thing that people can now get invested in the market like this?
There's no question. I mean, I'm incredibly fortunate to have had a front row seat to this entire revolution. We saw it. I mean, I was there on 46th Street and Park Avenue. I remember when Bear Stearns, people were walking out of there with boxes full of their stuff. I mean, literally had a front row seat to the financial crisis. And that event sparked the revolution that we've seen over the last 12, 13 years, where historically it was only the wealthiest and most powerful investors that had access to the tools and the information necessary to make money, literally since the beginning of time. That has now changed, right? So it's the playing field is more level than ever before. And I'm all for it, and not just, you're seeing it in the decentralized finance and all of that, most certainly, because the best, the disruption that is necessary because of the disaster that is the current financial system is beautiful to watch, not to mention the entire social FinTwit community, if you will, just of blogs and Twitter accounts and stock twits and that whole community. That started out as happy hours in Soho. And now it's this global ecosystem of communication, which is amazing.
Oh, I miss happy hours in Soho. You just got me very nostalgic for the Crosby Street Hotel. All right. Well, we are also seeing a whole bunch of transportation stocks and some energy stocks also mentioned on the list, on the Under the Hood list, which, by the way, allstarcharts.com, that's the only place you're going to find this list. And this is exactly why you need to subscribe, because if you are taking this fintech into your own hands, you need to have an edge. So let's talk about...
Thanks for the plug, Julie.
Of course. I got you. Let's talk about transportation, bearish or bullish.
Our targets have been hit. right? So it's when the keg's kicked and the DJ's already packing up, like it's time to go home. Like go to a diner, maybe go to another party, but like that, you got to split. You got to get out. We all know that guy who doesn't know when to go home. It's always trying, right? Come on, it's time to go home. We got a big day tomorrow. Same thing. Transports hit our upside objective. So did the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So did the S&P Industrial Sector. So did financials. So did healthcare. So again, just a common theme of upside objectives being hit. So I think that at best, the market goes sideways. Realistically, it probably breaks down and makes new lows. I'd rather be short stocks, but I wouldn't necessarily be short transports. I think there's easier trades in weaker areas, particularly the NASDAQ and growth and ARC and all that stuff.
Oh, we're going to get to growth in a minute, but let's talk about energy.
Oh, we always.
If you're lucky. Energy, bearish or bullish?
I got to tell you, we were talking about a scenario where tech stocks are getting killed and money's really flowing into energy. Energy last year represented 2% of the entire S&P 500. This year it's been between 3 and 4% of the S&P 500. Back in the last bull market cycle, it represented 16% of the S&P 500. So it's such a small, tiny little fraction. I think that unwind back towards the mean and beyond, if you will, I think that continues. And where's the other side of that unwind? I think it continues to be in technology. So like a long energy, short tech, I like that a lot, particularly if the XLE, which is the S&P Energy Sector Index Fund, is above those 2016 lows. I think you got to be bullish energy. And within energy, I would look at the E&P names. These are the oil and gas explorers and producers have shown relative strength compared to the oil services. But I think if crude oil is above 66 and the XLE is above 55, to not have aggressively long positions in energy, I think is irresponsible. But those are the levels.
All right, let's talk growth stocks. We're talking Amazon, Alibaba, we're talking Nautilus. Expect more downside or a reversal soon?
They say you shouldn't kick someone when they're down, but that's actually the best time to kick them, when they're already down. And I think that's the growth. Investors are down. They have big drawdowns. They're already being pushed to the limits. If those limits continue to get pushed, that domino effect is going to cause more margin calls, more dumping, more puking, funds blowing up. I think all of that storm is brewing. I could see it. I've seen it before. We're seeing it in the flow in the options activity, very bearish options activity all last week. They're coming for them, and I don't like to get in front of that train. I like to jump on, actually.
All right. We talked about old media last week, and of course, on the cover of The Economist, as you very well pointed out, Brazil on the brink. Bearish or bullish?
Man, if The Economist is bearish Brazil, like, how do we not sell everything and buy EWZ? Like, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unprecedented just how great of a contrarian indicator The Economist continues to be. Go back and take a look at this chart. You could see in 2009 was the all-time high in Brazil relative to U.S. stocks. That same week, The Economist came out with their bullish cover. And Brazil has continued to make new lows, both on an absolute and relative basis until recently. Man, could it be the time to buy Brazil? An interesting catalyst there is that it has four to five times the exposure in energy than the S&P 500 in the United States. And the NASDAQ, for example, has 0% energy. So that's no bueno. So Brazil, interesting catalyst. A lot of financials, a lot of basic materials, like 26% basic materials.
Okay, well, the Hawks eliminate the Knicks. I'm sorry. I know you were very bullish on them. You were saying it was great for New York, but unfortunately, I'm going to say you're a little bearish on this one, right?
No, listen, I think it was a successful season. I would say, I'm not a Knicks fan, I'm a Heat fan, and I would say that the Heat getting swept by Milwaukee just goes to show you Milwaukee made the right moves. The Heat just didn't make any shots. In the case, so it was a disappointing season for the Heat, who went to the finals last year. For the Knicks, who've had one of the worst franchises in quite some time, hasn't made the playoffs in almost a decade, finally got their first playoff win at home in the Garden. All the actors and rappers and whatnot hanging out courtside. Like, I love that shit. Reminds me back in the day, all the guys used to take me to Knicks games. Like, JC, you want to go to the Knicks game? I'm like, hell yeah. So I was always going, and it was a blast. I wasn't even a Knicks fan. I didn't even care who won. I was just happy to go, drink some brews. You know, same thing with the Rangers. Loved Rangers game. I couldn't care less about the Rangers, but it was always so much fun.
I love Rangers games.
Right?
They're so much fun. The Knicks may have lost, but New York still wins. Okay, I know you had a little bit of a cup of coffee in the minors, if I remember correctly. The A's minor leaguers were served the equivalent of Fire Festival-style food. They complained, they posted the photos on Twitter, and people were in an uproar at how could these guys be fed the future of your franchise, be fed cheese sandwiches and tortillas with like barely a curled up onion inside. Did you have a chance to check these out?
Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, I never got drafted, but I did spend the summer training with the rookie ball and single A organization of the Minnesota Twins in Fort Myers in Florida. And by saying that, I was training with them, like their pitching coach was my pitching coach, and I got invited to basically hang out with two other guys with the older professional players. Now, what I saw firsthand, I mean, I was like a junior in high school. Like, you know, for me, it was just great just to be a better baseball player. But these guys were actually coming from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, you know, all over the Midwest, all over the country, coming down and playing for the Twins. And the Red Sox were just down the block too, by the way. But the single A and rookie ball were together. And yeah, man, they're making pennies. Well, they were then. I'm pretty sure it's still the same. They're not living. This is not some glamorous lifestyle. It gets better as you go up to AA and AAA. But until you get called up to the show, I mean, it's a step. Just watch Bull Durham, right? You know, that'll give you an idea.
Yeah, good example. No, it's still terrible. Those guys make below the poverty line. It's a sad
tough.
Sad
But
state of
they're playing
affairs.
baseball. They're getting paid for it. You know.
Barely.
Right.
I think they get $500 a week. But at the
All
end
right,
of
then
the
don't
day,
play. I mean, right? Don't play. That's what
I
you're
agree.
worth, right? That's what it is. Supply and demand. There's a zillion. I mean, just like pick a country, like just the Dominican Republic alone. Like there's just so much demand coming from there. Like we'll just replace you. You don't want to be here? Goodbye. There'll be another 1,000 right behind you.
That's true. 1 in 4 major league players are from a Latin American country. All right, thank you so much, JC. And for all of this and so much more, you can check out allstarcharts.com. I didn't know you guys launched a crypto letter. What's in it?
Yeah, we had to, right? We started covering crypto back in 2016, particularly, specifically Bitcoin, then ultimately Ethereum and a few of the others followed. But now recently, over the last like 6 months or so, we've really seen a renaissance of breakouts above those 2018 highs across the board. So, I mean, we're looking at about 100 different cryptos on a daily basis now. A lot of the intermarket relationships, and people want more of it.